Welcome. Cowboy fans, Cowboy haters alike. I'm the G. I'm the host of Let's Talk Cowboys. Welcome to the Late Late Show, where we talk facts. Let's talk facts. Yeah, the game today, and I see some of the great things you guys are posting, and we'll see how many we get in tonight, but we're gonna still have some conversations, whether we have 20 or 2. Jared, what's going on? Paul, what's going on? Tony Simmons, what's going on? Yeah, welcome to the Late Late Show. Yeah, I think the Stephen Jones thing you're talking about. I think you're talking about the Micah Parsons conversation. Stephen Jones is already starting the nonsense with the Micah Parsons deal, even though he said he couldn't see Micah Parsons playing somewhere else, but he's also laying the groundwork that if they want to act a fool, that if they want to carry this out and draw it out into, something, they can. But the Micah Parsons is kind of crazy when you kind of listen to what he's alluding to. So we'll get to that in a moment. Let's kind of run through this Cowboy win real quick, because once again, I don't know if anybody's been paying attention, but I continue to talk about the Cooper Rush formula. And really, I shouldn't even call it the Cooper Rush formula, but this is the way the team should be playing anyway with their starting quarterback. Outstanding defense, check. Special teams being special, not so much check, but you got a great field goal kicker, great returner. They're not going to hardly let him return anymore, but check. And you need a running game. How many times have I said this? Anybody who's been following me, how many times have I said this? Mike McCarthy needs to run the ball 40 times with Cooper Rush. I said it before the game. He needs to run the ball 40 times. And if he runs the ball 40 times, this team will absolutely win. And I find it to be strange today when you look at Cooper Rush's numbers. They were the typical Cooper Rush numbers, minus a turnover, plus 1 touchdown. He got 1 more touchdown than he normally gets. But let's look at why he got the touchdown. How long have I been saying this? How long have I been saying run Rico Dowdle 25 times? How long have I been saying it? I have been screaming, run Rico Dowdle 25 times. And run the ball. How many times I've been saying? 35 to 40 times. You want to know why Cooper Rush was successful today? Rico Dowdle ran the ball 25 times for 149 yards. That's how you win the game with any quarterback. They ran the ball 9 times. 9 times with Ezekiel Elliott. That gives us 34. They ran the ball 2 more times with Kevontae Turpin. That's 36. I'm not counting Cooper Rush, but if you want to, we can. That's 40 times. 40 times. I've been saying it. They have to run the ball 35 to 40 times. And Cooper Rush only needs to throw the ball 25 times. He threw the ball 29 times. This is simple. This is very simple. And you want to know another reason why Cooper Rush today was so successful. The Carolina Panthers, as good as they've been playing the last 3 weeks, I'm going to give Mike Zimmer some credit. Mike Zimmer exposed them and turned them back into a pumpkin. Mike Zimmer, to me, has literally earned himself a job in the NFL in 2025. Forget the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not saying forget the Dallas Cowboys, but I'm saying that Mike Zimmer should not be worried that if the Cowboys do not want to hire him, Mike, you got a job. Because the NFL, all eyes on you right now. They're watching what you're doing in an organization that gave you no help, in an organization where you've been pretty much injured the whole season, in an organization that has a bad mentality. Mike Zimmer has come in, and if you look at the last 6 games, Mike Zimmer has done exactly what he was supposed to do. He's actually stopped the run. But I'm going to tell you something about this defense. They were the star because Bryce Young, you're not beating anybody with 2 interceptions. You're not beating anybody with 2 interceptions. You're not beating anybody with 2 fumbles. You're not beating anybody. You're not beating anybody with 4 turnovers. The Cowboys won the playoff battle. I mean, they won the playoff battle. I mean, you win the playoff battle, man, you're going to win a lot of games in this league. If you can run for 150, if one of your running backs can run for 150 yards in this league, you're going to win some games. The defense played exceptionally well today. They really did. But this is really the Cooper Rush formula. The defense doesn't have to play well for Cooper Rush. It has to play exceptionally well. We saw what happened last week. Last week was a cautionary tale. There can be no mistakes by the defense. There can be no mistakes by special teams. And there must be takeaways by the defense in order for this team to win. Well, you got all 3 of those today. You remember what happened last week? We blamed Amani number 27, as I call him. We blamed him, but the reality is the defense had an opportunity to stop him. Cooper Rush got the ball back, couldn't do nothing with it. Mike McCarthy, down the stretch, did nothing but throw the ball when he easily, before the Cincinnati Bengals got the drive that led to the punt, Mike McCarthy could have drove the ball down, running the ball easy, and they could have took the ball out of Joe Burrow's hands. And so Mike McCarthy, once again, as I continue to say, he's being forced to do what he has to do with Cooper Rush. Well, he has to run the ball. And if you run the ball 40 times, play action is going to be there. Because I'm telling you, Cooper Rush is a liability. We see the fumbles. We see where he can't get away from defenses. We can see all of this. But when everything is perfect, and Cooper Rush doesn't have to do anything outside of himself, if the defense is going to give him short fields with turnovers, he's good for 2. That's what his average is. He's good for 2 touchdowns the day the defense with multiple turnovers, sacking Bryce Young all over the place. It was a travesty to watch the Carolina Panthers today. Now, with my evaluation hat on, again, the defense. The defense, what more can you say, man? Mike Zimmer continues to do more with less. I'm still not sold on Mike McCarthy. I'm really at the point right now, to be honest with you, I don't know if there's anything that can literally change my mind about Mike McCarthy. Even though Dak Prescott is hollering for him. My problem with Mike is he won't call a similar game with Dak. He won't do it. And I don't know if he can be trusted to do it. Because when he gets Dak, he knows that Dak has a lot more ability. And so the first thing he wants to do is he wants to go pass happy. This line, I'm telling y'all, We are seeing some good things from this line, but what we're doing is no different than what we've done in the past with Mike McCarthy. We eat on bad teams. We eat on bad teams. And we eat on these bad teams and we rack up a lot of stats. And then when teams or when people start looking at our stats and when they start looking at individual performances, they start saying things like, well, they got players. Look at their stats. Look at where they're ranked. And they're falling short because of Dak or whatever the case may be. But the reality is, I'm not saying we pad stats. I'm just saying we beat bad teams. We beat bad teams. We'll beat some of the mediocre teams to the average teams. Sometimes, well, this year we actually beat a good team in the Steelers. But we don't do that consistently. And so what happens is more times than not, it's a game like this, and all of a sudden people start getting their hopes up again. Let's keep our evaluation hats on here. I like what Mike Zimmer is doing. I like what Mike Zimmer is doing. Because Mike Zimmer has actually faced some good running backs. I mean, he faced Saquon Barkley. He faced Mixon. Couldn't really do as much with Mixon. I mean, Mixon is he's a different type of animal. He couldn't stop Jalen Hurts, but we're realizing something. I keep telling y'all, and we're going to talk about this as we go later into the late show. I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, but I'm telling y'all, I've been telling y'all, people can say if they want to say about Jalen Hurts, man. Jalen Hurts is a true dual threat quarterback. What did I tell y'all a few weeks ago when they beat us? Jalen Hurts is a strange bag, man. You won't call him the best passer in the league. I don't think he's better than Dak Prescott at passing. I don't think he's better at Dak Prescott as a quarterback. But every so often, every game, it seems like Jalen Hurts will make 4, 5, or 6 throws that make you go, how did he do that? How did he complete that pass? How did he get that pass there? He'll do that about 5 or 6 times. And then what makes him even more dangerous, I told us the Eagles are loaded. Y'all can listen to all the A.J. Brown drama you want to, but that team loaded. They are loaded, top to bottom. And with the injuries, and I told y'all, if y'all remember what I said, Dan Campbell, how he played the Cowboys. He had starters in all the way through a game he was dominating. I told you, when he lost Hutchinson, I told y'all, I said, he's going to live to regret it. The Detroit Lions are going to live to regret that. Because as their defense continues to get more and more decimated, they're going to limp down the stretch. This is a battle of attrition. And I'm telling y'all, I am not going to be shocked that the Eagles get the number 1 seed. Because there's nobody else left to beat the Eagles on their schedule. They beat the team that everyone thought was going to beat them. And they didn't just beat them. I wish my man Wicked was on here. I don't know. Let me go further down. The Eagles beat them like a drum. But let me go back to the Cowboys, and we'll get back to going around the NFL. Rico Dowdle is gone, y'all. There is a team out there, and I'm telling y'all, Rico Dowdle is about to get the bag. Now, Rico Dowdle is about to be 27 years old. And I'm realizing that that's old for a running back, because you think about how running backs come into the league. Running backs come into the league at about what? 21? 22 tops? They sit on that rookie contract, and they'll get the next contract. At least this is what the hopes is for most of them if they're good. They get that second contract when they're about 23, when they're about 24, 25, 26. Well, Rico Dowdle is 26. Looks like he may have his health together. And so Rico Dowdle, I could see him getting some kind of 3-year, $15 million, 3-year, $20 million, $8 million guaranteed, $10 million guaranteed. The way Rico Dowdle is running the ball right now, Rico Dowdle is a minimum $4 million to $5 million a year back. I don't know if I would do it for 3, but I would sign him for 3. I would guarantee 2 so I could get from up under. But Rico Dowdle is about to get the bag. I'm telling y'all, man, when you look at this Cowboys team and some of the things that we're watching as we're evaluating, Rico Dowdle has been phenomenal. He has been. He has been phenomenal. And this dude would be even better had they already been running him more. But when you're running the ball, when Rico can run 25 for 149, well, Cooper Rush doesn't have really much to do. He didn't have to go down the field. I mean, you don't really have to go down the field. You're not forced into situations that you're not capable of because play action will afford you that. And let's be honest. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Carolina was not a good team. They were not a good team. They've been playing well, but the reality is they're not a good team. And today, it absolutely showed. And I do say give Mike Zimmer, give this defense credit, give Mike Zimmer credit. He really made them look like what they are. Now, I think the issue is, too, we're a better team, as crazy as that is, but it's the truth. We're a better team. We're a better team than the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers were already terrible this season. I mean, just looking on Tankatron, there's a reason when you look at this right here. There's a reason why Carolina is 3-11. They were 3-10 when they played us. Now, we're not going to double talk. They had been playing well, but the problem is they were still getting beat. They gave the Tampa Bay Buccaneers all they could handle. They got beat. They gave the Kansas City Chiefs all they could handle. They got beat again. They come up against us. Mike Zimmer has a little bit of a better plan. And Mike Zimmer even Mike McCarthy in a sense, he had a better plan. And what I mean by better plan, most of the teams that have dominated the Carolina Panthers, all you have to do is look at how they dominated the Carolina Panthers. Most of those teams came in and just ran them to death. That's what most of the teams did when they came in. They just ran them to death. And so the Cowboys were smart. They didn't leave anything to chance. They didn't come in saying, hey, Cooper Rush going to have a career game, even though 3 touchdowns is a career game for him. He didn't have a career game as far as passing yards or attempts or any of that stuff. They said, no, we're going to keep it simple. Rico Dowdle is going to tote the load. He's going to open up the play action, and then we'll pick and choose what we do with Cooper Rush. And that's really what you do. It's not just a Cooper Rush thing. That's really what you do. If you're smart, you should be doing that with your doggone starting quarterback. And that's why, for me, I wouldn't bring back Mike McCarthy. Because he can't be trusted. We watched Mike McCarthy make a huge transition last year after the bye week. Changed up his plays, and the Cowboys looked totally different. He came right back into this season, going back to the very generic West Coast offense. Dak Prescott gets hurt. He's still reluctant to go away from the West Coast, but he finally figures out that Cooper Rush isn't the Rich Gannon he said he was. And so now he has to do what he needs to do. He has to run the ball. But he's only running the ball now because he has to, because he knows that Cooper Rush is a liability. He knows he has to open up the play action for Cooper Rush. He's a liability. And so here we go again. I don't understand the Cooper Rush fan base because they're always looking for a reason to give Cooper Rush credit. They won't look at the game for what it is. We're going to give Cooper Rush credit. He had a good game this week. But let's not act like he's the reason they won the game. Cooper Rush is a part of the reason they won the game. He wasn't even the major reason they won the game. The defense was ferocious. And Carolina had no answer. The defense was ferocious. And they beat up a very bad team. They beat up a very bad team. And it's crazy to me when you look at the Panthers, when you start looking at their last four, wins. It looks like here, so when they beat the Saints, they beat the Saints 23-22, but it is the Saints. But the Saints ran the ball on them extremely well, but they managed to inch that game out. They also beat the New York Giants, just like we did. They took the Chiefs all the way down to the wire. And the Chiefs ran well on them. The Chiefs ran well on them. But the difference in the game, when you start thinking about the fact that even though the Chiefs beat them and the score was close, there's something you need to see why the score was close. Look at the fumbles and interceptions. It's hard to beat a team with 4 turnovers. 4 turnovers. It's hard to beat a team when you're having that many turnovers. It's hard. And so even when they played the Chiefs, the score, because I think Tony might have mentioned this, or either Jared, but the score is close because there was no turnovers. But if you look at the Cowboys game, and that's the key. See, a lot of this stuff will tell you the story. When you look at the Cowboys game, and let's look at the Eagles game. They lost that one too, but they played the Eagles pretty good. When you look at the Eagles game, you want to see the difference again? They only had 1 turnover. They had 1 turnover. You got you have a better chance to win when you are not turning the ball over. When you're not turning it over. And so what wound up happening to the Carolina Panthers? They turned the ball over. I mean, I went back to the Bucks game. Look at the Bucks game. If you look at the Bucks game, they actually won the turnover battle. That's why they hung in there with the Bucks. Score was 26-23. They won the playoff. They won the turnover battle. But then when you get to the Cowboys game, and the Cowboys defense has something to do with this because they kept getting to Bryce Young. They kept getting to him. And they had no answers, it seemed, for the Cowboys pass rush. This is the Carolina Panthers on the right. How do you win the game? How do you win the game with 2 fumbles lost and 2 interceptions thrown? How do you win the game? How do you win the game with 6 sacks allowed? How do you win the game? How do you do it? It's pretty hard to beat a team when you lose the turnover battle. It's hard to beat a team when you get sacked. And it goes to show you that this team, they are a kind of Dallas Cowboys team in a sense. If Cooper Rush is the starter, you cannot make mistakes. You cannot turn the ball over if Cooper Rush is starting. We saw it against the Philadelphia Eagles. If You turn the ball over. Cooper Rush turns the ball over. If you have a fumble like Zeke, you can't overcome those things because you're not good enough. And so, in a nutshell, that's what happened to the Carolina Panthers. They basically turned back into a pumpkin. Tony says Cooper Rush is like watching paint dry, just blah. Shout out to Rico and the O-line, and of course that defense. They carried him. And you know, it's funny that there are people still clamoring, and they're still hollering for Trey Lance. Even people in the media. Because they're saying, we have seen the ceiling of Cooper Rush. He didn't show us anything we haven't seen. We've seen his ceiling. And there's nothing that the Cowboys are proving by winning the games. Paul said this was expected by Reagan's not jump on the bandwagon casuals, but it shouldn't be. This team has way more talent than they have been given credit for. That part too. The Cowboys got some pieces. And this is one of the reasons why I'm in evaluation mode, because what we're watching right now is, what do we really need to do in the draft and free agency? I don't know if they're going to do anything in free agency. I got a feeling that they are. But it's going to really let them know what they need to do in the draft. Because they got some pieces. They do. They have some pieces. And Jerry is always, to me, they always do this. They become very top heavy. And so they'll always have players that they're pretty good. What they got to get better at is the depth. But now, because these guys have been playing, if they can get some more guys to go with them, they need to add some depth to what they already have. Because what we are watching now, some of these guys are going to be the starters next year. The injury depleted Cowboys minus their quarterback beat Carolina. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Cowboys victory is always welcome, rush and all. Yeah, nothing but a G thing. Micah comments, and also no money next year. Yeah, I'm going to get there in just a moment. The media will give Cooper Rush all the credit tomorrow when we know that Rico won the game. I heard Shannon Sharp already on Nightcap. And Shannon Sharp was saying, it's amazing what you can do when you run the ball. Yeah. It's the same thing I've been saying. They should have been running the ball all along. This team can have $100 million next year, and they will, in cap as well as more if they release Diggs. I think there's a problem. They're not going to release Diggs now. Well, let me see. Let me put that down on my notes. Let me get to some of these stories on the Cowboys, and then I'll come back towards the end. I'm glad you brought up Trayvon Diggs. Trayvon Diggs is Cowboys got an issue with Trayvon Diggs. And I do think the Cowboys are going to sign, they're going to keep, I'm going to tell you why they're going to keep Trayvon Diggs. And they're probably going to be loyal to Trayvon Diggs in the end, or at least for a little while anyway. Okay, I want to put that in my notes. Let me read what you guys have here. What's going on, LaQueen? What's going on, Robert M? Crazy day, man. Will they pay Dowdle next year? He is likely getting over 1,000 this year. Oh, he getting 1,000. Rico, and I told y'all, I said if they'll just let Rico run for the next 4 games, even if he only got 10 carries, he's going to break that 1,000 because he's been running that good. Rico might do something absolutely crazy in the next 4 games. It will not surprise me, including this game. Well, hold on. Let me go back. I was about to say it, but I'm not going to go there. Because there are 2 teams that I don't think he's going to be able to run against. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think he's going to have a problem running against. And the reason why I think he's going to have a problem running against the Buccaneers, because if I'm Tampa Bay, this game is simple for me on defense. I'm going to throw everything but the kitchen sink at stopping Rico Dowdle. I'm going to stop the Cowboys from running the ball so I can make Cooper Rush throw the ball. I actually want Cooper Rush, if I'm the Buccaneers, to throw the ball 30, 35, 40, 45 times. That's what I want if I'm the Buccaneers. So the way I'm going to achieve that is I'm going to stop Rico Dowdle. But we'll see. The Buccaneers is going to prove if he's really the real deal. And we've already looked at what the Philadelphia Eagles are. Man, I'm telling you, people might not understand it, but these guys are pretty good. I don't think the Eagles are going to let him run either. I think the Eagles will have the same or similar game plan because they have a pretty good secondary. And they will say, we'll go man to man and make Cooper Rush beat us because now we're going to put up 7-man fronts. You know, that's what you want to do because this is why so many teams, including the Kansas City Chiefs, have went to the running game because it's the same thing to stop the Dallas Cowboys. When you have a quarterback that can really pass the ball, he eats off of blitzes. He eats off pressure. He eats on play action. When you have a quarterback like that, you run that cover two shell, that you fix it to where you take away everything deep. You take away everything underneath. And you make him have to throw pinpoint passes over the linebackers, right into the middle of that defense. Right into the middle. And what you hope, if you got some athletic linebackers, maybe you can let the middle linebacker play a little bit further back. Maybe a little bit further back to where you take away almost everything and it requires tight window throws. This is what they were doing to the Mahomes. This is what they were doing to the Dak Prescotts. This is what they started doing to these guys. So what they started doing, Andy Reid, hey, let's go get Pacheco. You going to stay in that cover two shell? We'll run you out of it. Since you're going to try to play everything deep and underneath, so by the time our running back, once he gets past the line of scrimmage, now he's running up against defensive backs. He's probably going to get an extra 3, 4, 5 yards. And so we're going to gut you with the run. All these teams are doing it. It's the new blueprint. It's the old school way of winning. This is how you stop teams who want to stop the pass. You run on them. You run on those cover twos. You run on those shells. You run on them. And so if you want to stop a team that you think okay, well, they're relying on the run, well, we're going to come up and stop the run. Because if I got Cooper Rush, and I know we can't throw past 10 yards, you better believe this is exactly what I'm going to do. This is exactly what I'm going to do. And so he's going to have a little bit of harder time. What's going on, Robert M? Good to see you tonight. Yeah, he's going to have a little bit harder time with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's going to have an extremely hard time with the Philadelphia Eagles. And we really got to keep our eye on the Washington Commanders game because the Washington Commanders basically hold their own future in their hand. They don't have to depend on anybody to win or lose. All they have to do is keep winning. That's all they have to do. If they keep winning, the Commanders got it. They don't have to worry about it. Just keep winning. Because because Seattle is done. I don't know if y'all watched the game tonight. I watched the game tonight. The Seattle Seahawks are done. I think Geno Smith hasn't, and I don't know how serious the injury is, but he has an injury. And if he's injured, they're done. Look at what happened. I told y'all this yesterday. See, the only thing that could flip was the Rams and the Seahawks. And then the Seahawks and the Commanders. It's a wrap. The Rams, they took that 4 spot. They took it. They're now 8-6. The Seahawks are 8-6. Problem is, we got to wait and see what's going on with y'all know who Geno Smith. Got to wait and see what's happening with Geno. I think Geno has got a pretty bad injury. Not sure if it's going to be season ending, but I would not be surprised if Geno misses at least one game. I'm not going to be surprised he misses at least one game. The Commanders are really in the driver's seat in this spot right here. All they have to do is keep winning. And I think they're going to be able to muster at least 2 wins. And so by the time they see the Cowboys, they'll be able to get the 10 wins. When they get the 10 wins, then they're in the catbird seat. All they have to do is let the Rams and the Seahawks fight it out. And if one of those teams wind up dropping the last 2 to 3 games, well, the Commanders don't even have to worry about it. So the Cowboys game wouldn't even mean nothing to them. They may use the Cowboys game as a bye week, and so the Cowboys may win that last game against the Commanders because they may use it as a rest week, play the first quarter, and be done. So we may see the Cowboys win another game. But the Bucs and the Commanders, the Bucs and the Eagles aren't going to risk, not going to risk anything. They smell that number 1 seed. They need to win out. They're going to win out, I believe. The Lions are in danger. The Lions are in extreme danger. And I'm going to go back and do the NFL playoff maker because I'm wondering what happens if what happens if the Vikings and the Eagles tie. I wonder what happens if they wind up tied. So the Eagles, man, I got a funny feeling the Eagles are going to sneak into that number 1 spot. But I want to look at something that has been mentioned here by Paul. He's talking about this issue, and they've already been talking about it on Athlon Sports today. So all of a sudden, there is talk of Micah Parsons being traded. I don't believe it. But the Cowboys love drama. The Cowboys absolutely love drama. And I want to pull this up on Micah Parsons because as I'm listening to all of this talk about Micah Parsons, some of the stuff that they're saying, I'm kind of like, hold on a second. This stuff is kind of making some sense. So let's pull up Micah Parsons' contract real quick. Because that's where this is all kind of going a little bit haywire. It's to do with Micah Parsons' contract. Okay. See, I did not realize this. So the Cowboys, kind of what they've done, which is absolutely ridiculous if you really want to sign Micah Parsons. So if you look at Micah Parsons' contract, this is the dumb thing they've done. So Micah Parsons is actually in the last year of his deal. He's in the last year of that deal. And so his 2025 season, or basically 2025 is going to be his last season. But what they've done is, that is a $24 million cap hit. So the question is, will Micah Parsons play on the last year of that deal? I don't believe. Everyone else is held out. Everyone else is held out. So will Micah Parsons play on that 2025 deal? His base salary will be $24 million. Will he play on it? And the issue is people are talking about like cut Micah Parsons and all, but you can't really, it's not going to do you any good to cut him. A lot of people are saying trade him. Trade Micah Parsons. Trade Micah Parsons, but we were already talking about this earlier. So the Cowboys have already done, they've already, as usual, rather than going ahead when they signed CD, why not go ahead and sign Micah Parsons when you're already saying that's what the money is for? That's what the money is for. So if you look at their options, it says here, so if he's a pre-June 1st release, $24 million cap hit, zero in savings. They're not doing that. If he's a pre-June 1st trade, dead cap zero, you save $24 million. This is why people are talking like this. If he's a post 6-1 release, he hits you for a 2025 dead cap, but he hits you for nothing in 2026. You save nothing in 2025. If he's a post 6-1 trade, he hits you for nothing in dead cap on 2025, 2026, plus he saves you $24 million. Now, Stephen Jones is saying all of this stuff like, oh man, it's going to be tight again for the Cowboys because of contracts and stuff like that, and it's going to be more the same. Stephen Jones is threatening. He's basically threatening is flip some switches on these contracts. That's all they have to do. And they would have $100+ million. That's including signing Michael Parsons. But because they want to play around with fire, like they tend to do, and we're going to see if they play around with fire as the season ends, which I think they should already be working on the Michael Parsons deal. They shouldn't even let this get to the end of the season. They should sign Michael Parsons immediately to me after the last game. Don't even wait on this stuff. If you want to sign him, why play around with it? This is what they do. And when they play around with this stuff, they wind up costing themselves way more money. Just like they cost themselves about what? An extra $5 million with CeeDee Lamb? I believe they cost themselves an extra $10 million with Dak Prescott. They could have easily signed Dak Prescott to a $50 million deal before anybody even got that deal. They could have saved easily 10, 15 million on the backside, but they keep playing around. And this is the stuff that they like to do. Welcome to Barnum and Bailey's 3-Ring Circus. Says the outside linebackers in the final year of the rookie contract and will look to get paid via an extension from Dallas. The Cowboys exercised their 5th-year option on Parsons for $24 million, but he almost certainly would hold out for a new deal rather than play on that contract. So that's what happened. They exercised the 5th-year option. But again, will he play on it? People have to understand. Quarterbacks are different. Quarterbacks being 28, 29, 30, 31. They can get injured. And they can still come back and get the bag. Teams will still pay him. I mean, look at Kirk Cousins. He's about to take $135 guaranteed million from the Atlanta Falcons. And I think it was a 3-year deal. He's only going to play 1 year. They're probably going to cut him. Because I doubt Kirk will be a backup. Or maybe they'll make him be a backup. But I got a feeling that Kirk is going to lose that starting job. So we're going to see what that looks like. But I digress. Quarterbacks will get paid even when they get hurt. They're putting Michael Parsons in a very precarious situation. He's already been hurt this season. He finally got a taste of the injury bug. I don't know. Michael Parsons has been talking crazy. He said there's no difference between $30 and $40 million. If I'm Jerry Jones, I'm going to hold him to that. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure his agent is telling him, you know we're not going back on that field for $24 million, right? You know we're not going to do that. Because if you go back on that field for $24 million, you tear a knee, you tear an Achilles, you get some freak injury, and there is no way you'll eclipse nor touch the top paid in your position. I'm sure he's telling Micah Parsons, you're not playing on that fifth-year option. I don't care what they picked up. I'm sure he's telling him that. And so the issue with the Cowboys, I don't think with Micah Parsons, I don't think they can afford to mess around with this. I think the Cowboys need to really think about going ahead and doing the deal with Micah Parsons, because if they don't, and it sounds like to me that Stephen Jones, with all his lip flapping, he's actually ready to play this whole, okay, we signed the fifth-year option. What about a franchise tag in 2026? Micah Parsons, he's in a predicament. He called Jerry Jones his dog. So we about to see. Because Stephen Jones is dangerous, man. Stephen Jones does not like to spend money. Stephen Jones does not like to spend money. He doesn't. He doesn't. It's crazy. Let me read some of your comments. I'm laughing. The real Daryl said, he said Cooper Rush and success in the same sentence. He said, laugh out loud. Robert, the real Daryl, what's going on? He said Dowdle will get a nice bag from another team. No doubt. No doubt. If I'm another team, I'm looking at him saying, hey, man, he could be the 2 in the 1-2 punch. The thing about Rico, the only thing I don't like about Rico, when you start talking about difference-making running backs, Rico hasn't showed us he's the home run hitter. He's shown us that he can be the work. I think right now what he's showing us is that he can be the workhorse. But he's not shown us yet that he can be, hey, I'm not only the workhorse, I can hit the big play too. I can take it to the crib. Because he really hadn't taken it to the crib. He's rattling off long runs, but he hadn't broken it to the crib. And I do think you need a home run threat at running back too. You need a running back that's got a burst that's so quick, by the time they look around, he's already in the secondary. Boom, he gone. Now it's a full race. Haven't seen that with Rico Dowdle yet. Need to see that from Rico Dowdle. But if you tell me he going to be the number 2 in a 1-2 punch, and he's going to run the ball about 20 times, and the other guy going to run the ball about 15 to 20 times, yeah, I'm ready. Robert Ibb says, yeah, just as long as we don't ignore the fact that Rush almost got CD killed on back-to-back plays. Yeah, he's pretty bad with some of these passes that he throws. Yep. And see, that's what play action does for you, Robert, because some of those plays, he can get those plays because of the play action. It helps a lot. Facts, G, both Mikes will be highly sought after because of their success, and the other owners would grab them. I'm telling you, man, Mike Fisher has already earned a job. He has nothing to worry about. And I said it yesterday. You know, we've been talking about should the Cowboys re-sign Mike McCarthy. What if Mike McCarthy don't want to sign with the Cowboys? What if Mike McCarthy say, I don't want to sign with the Cowboys? Wouldn't that be crazy? What's going on, Willie T? I had to scroll down to see everybody. Purple Soul, Kevin Howard, what's going on? How y'all doing tonight? Wilson Santiago, what's going on? Janie, what's going on? John Cyril, what's going on? TRJ Cowboy, True Cowboy, what's going on? Good to see y'all tonight. And so I'm telling us, the Cowboys, man, they got a situation with this next contract with Micah Parsons. And that's why, to me, they just shouldn't have been playing around with this stuff. I mean, the real deal is that if they don't want to sign the dude, they should have went ahead and traded him. And if you don't want to sign him, then you might need to go ahead and consider trading him before the draft. But if you're not going to trade him, it is dumb to me. It is dumb to me if the Cowboys don't go ahead and sign him. It's dumb. I'm going to pick up towards the end some down here because I'm pretty far behind. Let me pick up some of your comments. Purple Soul says, you think it's sabotage. Okay, let me get a little further down. Jared said, even Purdy had Christian McCaffrey, and Cousins has Bijan. Hurts has Saquon. Yeah, and Dak could have had Rico. But instead, Jerry Jones went back and tried to bring Zeke back into the picture. But he should have had Rico all along. I think we're not as bad as we thought, but I still want to see us make some moves this offseason and not sit on our bums. Yeah, Daniel M., I think we got some good players, but I think we're going to lose some of these players. Rico Dowdle is gone. We better beware. Kevontae Turpin may be gone. Y'all do know Kevontae Turpin, if I'm not mistaken, he's 28 years old. Kevontae Turpin is a true success story. This little small, fast, tough guy has worked his way from college through whatever it was, a USF, XFL, whatever it was, got to the pros with the Cowboys, and has really made a name for himself. And he's getting paid Cracker Jacks for the Cowboys right now. He about to get the bag. Kevontae Turpin is about to get the bag. Boy, could y'all imagine? And the reason why I'm saying this stuff is because teams are watching these players from the Cowboys, and they know that these players, they can't sign all of them. They can't sign all these players. They got to sign Brandon Aubrey. I wouldn't be surprised. He's got Todd Francis as his agent. Brandon Aubrey will not play another year on that piddly contract. Brandon Aubrey is not playing on that contract. Micah Parsons is probably not going to play on that contract. Kevontae Turpin, his contract is up. He gets to go out and test the waters and see what he can get, and the Cowboys get to match it. They're not going to match it. I'll be shocked if the Cowboys match anything that Kevontae Turpin can get on the open market. Kevontae Turpin, to me, is around a $4 million a year player. And some team may even see him worth more than that. Cowboys aren't signing all these players, y'all. And that's what Stephen Jones is talking about. Tony says, starting to think that Dak is changing run plays to pass plays and overthinking and overanalyzing common sense. Nah, he's not changing the plays. No, I don't think he's changing the plays. I think what he's doing is he's forcing it. Mike McCarthy is putting him in the situation where he wants him. Mike McCarthy is calling pass plays, but where I fault Dak is forcing it, and he keeps trying to force the CeeDee Lamb. He tried to make Tolbert into a second target, but Tolbert has been so disappointing. What's going on, Derail Carter? He's been so disappointing. So disappointing, and so they're going to have to get Dak another receiver. But at the end of the day, I think they need to go back to what they're doing they got to do what they're doing for Cooper Rush because everybody's doing this for their quarterbacks. You get them a run game, and you don't get them one running back, you get them two. Purple Soul said, I really wish I liked Micah. Well, I tell you what, Micah might be getting ready to get out of here. Revelation said people don't think that Dak understands the salary cap on his own, G. Yeah, he does. Because I understand it. So I know he understands it. And I'm sure that some of these other players are even looking at this stuff going, and you think about this, these guys have agents. They're all looking at this salary cap. And this is why I bet Michael Parsons' agent really was on him after that interview he gave with ESPN. I bet he told him, man, don't you ever say again that 30 and 40 million, there's no difference. There's a huge difference in that when you're talking about taxes. You make 40 million, they're taking 20 in taxes. So you get 30 million, they're taking half in taxes. So you still think there's no difference? That's crazy talk. Daniel says, let me see here. For the Dak Prescott heads out there, name a very good elite quarterback that doesn't have a running game. Mike Tirico said it tonight, Jared. Mike Tirico said it tonight. Mike Tirico said all of the teams that are in the playoffs, that are seriously competitive, he said they all have one thing in common. They all have a running game. It's not rocket science. All of them. All of them have a running game. including, whether we realize it or not, Josh Allen is an absolute monster. I told y'all when I think about the top running quarterbacks in the league, Mahomes is the smartest. Lamar Jackson is the best. Jalen Hurts is a real good runner. I'll put him somewhere around 4 or 5. But Josh Allen is the scariest. He's the scariest. Big, strong. Man, he's a load when you see him coming. So, when he's coming towards you, he's a load. And so, even he has a running game. All of them. You go down the line, you can't find one of these teams that have, quote unquote, Jared, as you said, what they call elite quarterbacks. Not a one of them. Chiefs, Pacheco, Bills, Cooks, Steelers, Najee, Texans, Mixon, Lions, two-headed monster. Who is it? Montgomery and Gibbs, I think the name is. Eagles. I told y'all about number 14, Gainsworth for the Eagles. The Eagles got Saquon and Gainsworth. The Vikings, they got, who is it? Adams? No, Aaron Jones. I'm sorry, they got Aaron Jones. Baltimore Ravens, Derrick Henry. When you look at the teams that we consider to be competitive, they have the running games. And this is probably what it's going to come down to over here in the AFC. It'll be down to those 5. When you come down to the NFC, I think it's going to come down to these 2. Well, I'll say the Vikings is in the running. The Rams is probably a wild card, but the Packers are in the running. The Packers are in the running. I don't think the Packers are running as good as they did last year. Even though Chud, I think his name is, they got Love a running game. They did. And the other running back got hurt, or they would have really had him a serious running game. So you look at the teams that are ultra competitive at the top, and they all have what we call probably the top 10 quarterbacks in the league. They all share one thing in common: running games. Running games is because it was like I was saying, and Chris Collinsworth was saying the same thing. Because when you got these prolific passers like Allen, Dak Prescott is one of them. Whether people understand it or not, he's one of them. When you got guys like him, well, you have to figure out ways. You got to ask yourself, which one would you rather have? Would you rather get beat with the pass, or would you rather get beat with the run? And so a lot of those teams are saying, well, I'd rather get beat with the run because the run is more of a slow grind. Or some of those teams didn't have run games at the time. So they were like, well, then let's just get something so we can stop Patrick Mahomes from passing. Andy Reid said, okay, I got you. We don't have Tyreek Hill no more, and we won't be able to replace. You cannot replace Tyreek Hill. You can't replace prime Tyreek Hill. You cannot replace the human cheetah. So they got a run game. They got a run game. The Buffalo Bills, they got rid of Stephon Diggs, but they got a run game. Now they went back and got Amari Cooper, but they have a run game. The Steelers, what do they? They've been had a run game. Now they're using Justin Fields as an extension of the run game. I mean, I told you before, 2 things travel well. 2 things travel well in the playoffs: run games and defense. Stop the run the ball. Whoever does it the best, they progress. Those who don't, won't. I mean, unless your passing game, and I'm telling y'all, the Chiefs' passing game ain't the same. It has steadily declined since Tyreek Hill, and it is right now at its worst. It's at its worst right now. And so all of these teams, they run. They run. That's what they all do. Micah's not getting Bosa money. Bet not. Because I don't think he's on the level of Bosa. Michael's not on the level of Bosa. Bosa's a different animal. Yeah, Bosa's a different animal. Yeah, Steven is a trip on that. Steven is a trip on that doggone salary cap, and he's getting us ready right now. He's getting us ready right now that, hey, y'all, he's just saying, hey, I want y'all to get ready. I may act a fool in the offseason. I know Michael Parsons is running around calling my daddy his dog, but me and him ain't dogs. I'm telling you, the Cowboys do this stuff all the time. Kevin Howard, I've been saying that I do think they're going to make some moves, even if it's one or two. And I think Steven is doing a lot of talking. But I think at the end of the day, we already know how you get paid from the Cowboys. You hold out. And I don't think Michael Parsons is playing on no fifth-year option, because I wouldn't. He's not a quarterback. And it's going to force their hands, because the Cowboys are going to lose players. And Michael better get ready. They're going to do to Michael what they're doing to Dak. Michael going to find out the hard way, because they're going to blame him. They're going to blame him, or they're going to say, well, we had to sign Michael. I can hear Stephen Jones now. Well, we had to sign Michael, so we couldn't sign Rico Dow. We couldn't sign Rico, Michael, and Trayvon and Cavante Turpin. They got a Brandon Aubrey problem too. I'm telling you, I'm not surprised if Brandon Aubrey holds out, y'all. They're paying Brandon Aubrey chicken feed. And Brandon Aubrey's outplayed that contract. Yeah, Tony Pollard was a home run hitter. We need another one. That's kind of what they did with Zeke. Zeke was no longer a home run hitter. So they got Tony Pollard. And let me think. Was Pollard and Zeke same draft? I remember when they got Pollard, and everybody was talking about how good he was. I was trying to remember the year they drafted both of them. But basically, Tony Pollard became the home run hitter. He became the home run hitter. And Rico Dowdle, that's why, to me, if I was them, I would see if I could keep Rico on a cheap contract. But if they can't, that means they're going to have to go get two running backs. I would get one early, one late. Because we already know they're not going to do anything with Deuce Vaughn. They're not going to do anything with Deuce. So they're going to wind up probably having to get two running backs. They're not going to do anything with Dalvin. Willie T said, you don't need that type of running back. Give me two type of running backs that can run long runs. See, that's why for me, I think they need two different types of running backs. I think they need one that's a home run hitter, one that's a grinder. One that can, you need the workhorse, and then I need the guy that can, okay, he's the home run hitter, and I can use him in the passing game. And, you look at the Eagles, though, what they have is like a little, I think the guy, the number 14 guy, I see him more as a guy you use in the pass game and the run game. And you can do the same thing for Saquon Barkley. But, boy, Saquon Barkley, man, you want to talk about a home run hitter. Man. That dude is a home run hitter. Yeah, Cooper Rush is a liability. He's a liability. Purple Soul said, Mike moving like a politician out here. He want to stay with Dallas. But you also watch how he move out here too. Purple Soul. Jerry Jones is not paying this dude. Mike McCarthy isn't getting paid a lot with the Cowboys. He's like one of the lowest paid head coaches. And so Mike McCarthy, if Mike McCarthy's smart, he'll be testing the fire. He'll be testing the water too. Because if you want to negotiate, I would at least want to come back and say, hey, man, yeah, I'll come back, but I'm not coming back for what you paid me last time. You're going to pay me $4 or $5 million. I mean, you're going to pay me $5, $6, $7, $8 million or something. Paul said, when all this is said and done, Charles Bidwell, old owner of the Cardinals, will be a more respected owner than Steven after Jerry passes. Boy, you know what? I'm just wondering what this franchise is going to look like after Jerry. Willie T said Jerry wants Micah contract to be the stray over not signing, the stray over not signing free agents. I think they're going to. If you're saying what I think you're saying, I think that may be I think that may be the excuse that Stephen Jones uses for this team not to sign free agents because of Micah. We got to sign Micah. If McCarthy isn't re-signed, do they make Zimmer the guy? I don't think they have any intention on making Zimmer the guy. But I do think they probably would bring him back as the defensive coordinator. But I think even with Zimmer, I think it depends on if they re-sign Mike. If they re-sign Mike, Zimmer is coming back. Because someone was saying that it was McCarthy that wanted Zimmer. And I was like, okay, I didn't know that. I thought that was a Jerry move. Isn't Turpin a free agent? Yeah. He's restricted, not unrestricted. So he can go out, shop himself, and if a team says, well, okay, we want to pay you $6 million, the Cowboys get the opportunity to match it. And if the Cowboys match it, then he goes with the Cowboys. But I don't think it's going to happen. Turpin about to get paid. Yeah, Willie. I hope they keep him, but I think he's gonna get paid. And I think with the Micah Parsons contract, the Brandon Aubrey contract, I mean, there are so many contracts with this team right now. I don't think I'm gonna really wait and see on Turpin because I just don't know if he's in the plans as far as if a team offers him. And I do think a team is going to offer him. A lot of teams are recognizing Kevontae Turpin. A lot of teams are recognizing Kevontae Turpin as a serious weapon. And I just don't see Kevontae Turpin getting paid the money that the Cowboys are paying him. I don't see him getting paid that type of deal. Because when you look at what the Cowboys are paying him, man, this is robbery. Kevontae Turpin is making $985,000. He won't do that again. Kevontae Turpin is about to try and get the highest. He's going for the highest bidder. I don't think he's going to. I don't think he's even going to say, I like the Cowboys so much, I'm going to give him a discount. Why would he do that? They already got him on a discount. Kevontae Turpin is worth $3 to $5 million a year? Some team, if they really want to make him an integral part of their offense, man, they may pay him $6. And I can tell you this, Cowboys aren't matching $3. They won't match $3. I guarantee you, they will not match $3. So yeah, that restricted free agent, that restricted free agency. See, that restricted free agent is a pickle. Because that player, let's see. Yeah, a player with 3 accrued seasons has received a qualifying offer from their former club. The former club has the right to match any offer sheet the player signs with another club. If the former club doesn't match the offer, they may receive draft picks as compensation. Turpin's going somewhere else. Unless I'm wrong and nobody wants him. But I just think teams are going to want him. And the way the Cowboys are already acting about money, I just don't think they're going to pay him. They got a lot of people to play, y'all. The Cowboys have a lot of people to pay. A lot of people. You know, I always like when Brandon Aubrey attempts 70 yards. Only problem is anytime you get Brandon Aubrey attempting them long field goals, I'm saying again, better get ready. Better get ready. Cowboys got issues with these contracts, y'all. Brandon Aubrey Brandon Aubrey will not play. Brandon Aubrey will not play on the contract the Cowboys have him on next year. I'll be shocked if he does. This is what the Cowboys have Brandon Aubrey on. It ain't happening. You're not kicking 70-yard field goals or attempting 70-yard field goals, and you're going to get paid $1 million a year. You're not going to. See, the Cowboys have these older guys. These aren't kids they have. Kevontae Turpin isn't young. Rico Dowdle isn't young. Brandon Aubrey isn't young. These guys are ready to get paid. They don't have the time to be waiting around like these young kids, 22, 23. They don't have the time to be waiting around to get these. This is it. See, I bet you a lot of people didn't know how old Brandon Aubrey was. I'm sure some of you did. But some of us, I'm pretty sure, thought Brandon Aubrey was a young guy. He's young. He's just not young in football years. Still 29 years old. What do you think Brandon Aubrey has? I think Brandon Aubrey right now has about a 3-4 year window. Brandon Aubrey gonna hold out next year. I'll be shocked if he don't hold out. Because I'm just telling you the truth. I wouldn't come back and play for that when I know how many other teams do you think would make Brandon Aubrey the highest paid kicker in the league? This team got some contract issues. Robert, what's going on? He says, run the table and let the chips fall where they may, and Dallas will have a shot to get to the dance. Run the table. You talking about this season? Oh, they out. They definitely out this season. I had high hopes for Toll, but yeah, he hasn't panned out. Dak is so smart that he can become the NFL sport agent after he retires from the NFL. Man, I think he's going to be in the booth. I will not be surprised. As much as people hated Dak Prescott, he'd be beloved in the booth. The kid from Notre Dame, I think, is a hit for our Cowboys. Okay, give me the name on him. The Cowboys, though, the Cowboys have a lot of contract issues coming up. Hurts is a good runner. But ball security has always been an issue for them. Yeah, but I'm telling you, man, they built this team right. Harry Rosen has built this team right. He's not going to have to worry about it. Yep, salary cap arrogance is going to mess up the team next year. It is. What's going on, Kitty Boy? What's going on, Danny in the house? Willie T said Turpin would get a second-round tender. Yeah. And you know what? I bet there's a team that would probably be willing to give that up for him. I mean, they're saying I don't believe he's the fastest guy in the NFL. I got to see him race. The cheetah first. It's weird though because Jalen didn't have a turnover problem at Bama the way he did at Oklahoma, and now the league. Yeah, but I tell you this, Jalen is looking good this year. He really is. Jalen is looking good. And a lot of people keep saying he ain't this, he ain't that. Man, I'm telling you, Jalen is proving a lot of people wrong. Dagenham City needs to beat them, and ATL will lose again. It's very possible to get in the dance. The Cowboys ain't no way. Those spots are locked. All Washington has to do, the Commanders have control of the number 7 seed. That's the crazy part, because the number 3 seed is the seed that's actually the most vulnerable. But when you look right here, Cowboys ain't got a shot, man. Cowboys don't have a shot. Washington Commanders, unless something happens and they collapse, the Washington Commanders got that number 7 seed. I believe they got that spot wrapped up. I do believe they have that spot wrapped up. I don't think there's nothing anybody can do about it. Nothing. And even if it is, it would have to be Seattle or the Rams. But I think the Seattle Seahawks are about to go into a downward spiral. If Geno Smith, has anybody heard what's going on with Geno? Let me see. Maybe they're talking about it right now. Maybe he's gotten something looked at. They hadn't talked about it yet, but Geno, and even if he's not done for the season, Geno going to be gone, I think, a game at least. And if he's not, he will not be the same when he plays again. And so that's going to be a huge issue. But when you look at the Commanders, I do think the Eagles beat them. But I don't think the Falcons beat them. I don't think the Falcons beat the Commanders. They're in a little bit of a downward spiral. I don't think the Falcons beat the Commanders. And then the Cowboys, it may come down to them and the Cowboys, but it's not going to come down to between them and the Cowboys, at least in my estimation. I just don't see it coming down to them and the Cowboys going to the playoffs. I do not see it. I have to look at the all right. So according to the NFL playoff machine, let's see what we got here. According to the NFL playoff machine. So this would be what week? We got one more game. See, don't we have one more game? Okay, so maybe they started like this. So we're in week. We are now currently in what? Week 16 coming up? Okay, just kind of. I think we're in week 16, right? I think that's the week that we have coming up. Let's see here. Yeah, that's week 15. So this is week 16. Week 16. Just looking at the NFC games. The Vikings will take that. Detroit, I think, will take that. Rams will take that. I do think the Eagles will take that. San Francisco at Miami. That is going to be a tough out. I'll take the home team for that. Week 16. I'll take the Cardinals, Green Bay. Now, the problem is, to me, is I don't think the Cowboys beat the Bucs. I don't think the Cowboys beat the Bucs, but just for fun, we can say they beat the Bucs. So if the Cowboys the Cowboys still haven't moved in just yet, and then you go to week 17, and I'm just doing the NFC because that's where everything's going to be affected. I think the Bucs, the Seahawks, the Rams, take the Vikings at home. I just don't see the Cowboys beating the Eagles, but just for fun. I don't see the Falcons beating the Commanders either. Not worried about the New York Giants. They're going to get slaughtered. The Lions at the 49ers, that is going to be a tough game. Just for fun, I'll still take the Lions. So if that scenario plays out, the problem is the Washington Commanders. So the Washington Commanders will still have the 7th seed. The Rams will hold on to that 3rd seed because that's really the only thing that's going to change. You get to week 18, and I'm just going NFC again. I'll take the Falcons, Bucks, Rams. Let's just take the Cowboys for fun. Eagles, Lions, Green Bay, Cardinals for fun. Now, according to this, even if, and this is the if part, the Cowboys have got to beat the Bucks, and they have to beat the Eagles. I'm just not convinced they're going to pull those two games off. Not saying they can't. I am just not convinced they're pulling those games off. And as a matter of fact, I think in week 17, I did select the Eagles. Week 17, I actually selected the Cowboys. I did. Week 16, I selected the Cowboys. Week 15, the Cowboys already won. And so I'm not really sure why this is working out like this. But even if they're tied, it says that last game, that wouldn't be right, though, because I'm pretty sure the Cowboys would, if they beat them twice, then the Cowboys would be. I'm saying all of this to say the Cowboys are out of it. I mean, there's just no way. I just don't see the Cowboys being in it. But one game at a time, you never know. This franchise, though, I can tell you this. This franchise messes around and goes to the playoffs with Cooper Rush at quarterback. It is going to be nothing but chaos and disorder. It'll be nothing but chaos and disorder next week. I mean, it'll be chaos and disorder. Washington is waiting to pay our free agents. Yep. The Jones arrogance is going to hurt them. Man, you just said something, Kitty boy. Because if there is anybody who would sign the Dallas Cowboys free agents, it's Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn will sign them in a heartbeat. He will. Mike Trayvon gets trades for picks, at least 5 or 6 picks. We get a running back in the first round, wide receiver in the second, third round. Don't be surprised if they get a cornerback and a safety and get a defensive tackle in the draft. Yeah, I can even tell you, I can even go in further because I want to look at something real quick. I want to look at something else real quick as it pertains to another player on the team. I was looking at this playoff machine again because I was trying to figure out how in the world I'll have to look at that again. We'll look at this again on tomorrow's show. But the Cowboys have another problem. Let's look at another problem they have. Micah Parsons is one problem. But the Cowboys, and we'll be waiting for more details to come out about this. Trayvon Diggs, y'all. Trayvon Diggs' injury is bad. Trayvon Diggs' injury is bad. It really is. They're now saying Cowboys reveal stunning Trayvon Diggs rehab prediction after surgery. Trayvon Diggs has been ruled out for the rest of the year with a knee injury, and now the Cowboys are revealing facts about the surgery and the rehab. It says, following a brutal stretch of injury flare-ups since Monday night, Dallas. Oh wait, I'm just want to go to Trayvon Diggs. He'll have season-ending surgery, and it's being said that Trayvon Diggs will not be back for 8 months. Jones says Diggs has a cartilage issue that finally came loose on him. So, unfortunately, we're going to do surgery on him. Cartilage? I'm telling y'all, I said it before. when you start messing with these leg injuries on cornerbacks and stuff like that, when you start messing with these leg injuries, and now he's got a cartilage issue, he may be, man, I don't know if Diggs is going to be the same. So now that's another issue that it's a need in the draft. The Cowboys have got to get another cornerback. Kalen Carson, gone. Butler, gone. I mean, all these guys got injuries. I just don't know if you want to bring those guys back and be depending on guys who all are coming off injuries. And so the reality of Trayvon Diggs, I mean, you're talking about 8 months. I mean, they're talking about Trayvon Diggs will be ready for the beginning of next season. Man, I'm sorry. If I'm Trayvon Diggs, you won't see me to midseason. Matter of fact, you won't see me to this same time next season. There's no way that I would be trying to come back in 8 weeks. I just wouldn't be trying to do it. We could be watching the end of Trayvon Diggs' career. I pray that it's not. But we could be watching the end of Trayvon Diggs' career, or at least his career with Dallas. But watch this. So the crazy part about the Trayvon Diggs injury. So because Trayvon Diggs, I think, is a $24 million cap hit next year. I think that's what they're saying. It's fully guaranteed now because of the injury. You can't cut him. He was smart enough, and all of these guys are. It's not like he's smart enough. They all put those injury guarantees in those contracts. He put one in his contract. And because he put one in his contract, it's guaranteed. It's a guaranteed thing. It's guaranteed. So the Cowboys are going to have to go in the draft and get a cornerback. No doubt about it. They'll have to go in the draft and get a cornerback. So now you've kind of almost made as a priority, and I don't really know. You know, you start talking about cornerbacks. You know, do you want to get them on the backside of the draft? Or do you want to get them on the front end of the draft? Because then that puts you in a situation to where you got to go wide receiver 1, running back, cornerback. Or do you go wide receiver 1, cornerback, running back? But those top 3 positions, cornerback is a major issue for the Cowboys. It is a serious issue for the Cowboys. And so it makes me wonder, like, what are they going to do about that? Yeah, we're going to lose a lot of players. A lot of players we're going to lose. Yep. Boy, you saying something, Willie T. That's probably one of the main reasons Mike McCarthy going to be back, because he's the only one that'll put up with it. Rico Dowdle, the rookie running back, will be a top running back duo in the league next season. Yeah, it will be. Unfortunately, Wild Boy, I don't know if we're gonna sign Rico. Danny says that the Commanders lose 3 of their games. Rams have to lose 2 of their games. Arizona Cardinals lose 1 game. 49ers have to lose 1 of their games. And our Cowboys have to win. Boy, that's a lot of have to. Not saying it can't happen, because Freddie said it happened before. That's a lot of have to, though, especially when you look at those schedules they have. I just think the Commanders' schedule line up so perfect for them. I just think it lines up so perfect. Wild Boy says, I can't wait till CeeDee Lamb get his wide receiver 2 in the draft. For sure. I definitely think they're going to get that wide receiver 2 in the draft. Willie 2 said, no, Pollard came 2 years later. Okay, that's what I thought. So Pollard he became, after Zeke we watched Zeke wear down, Pollard became the home run hitter for us. And I think the Cowboys need to do that again, because Rico is not a home run hitter, or at least we haven't seen it yet. He doesn't have that burst like, Tony Pollard in 2019. Yeah, he doesn't have that burst that you're looking for where he can hit those home runs. Tony says, maybe it's me, but I don't see interviews with any other team's owner after the game. I don't either. And didn't notice Robert Kraft interviewed me after the game. Nope. Jerry the only one to do that. And I think it's weird that he goes into the locker rooms after the games. Robert Dredden, Gainwell. Gainwell is gaining well, man. He's a good running back. With SJ giving the contract speech, yep, don't expect much. Well, he's preparing us, Wilson. And maybe he'll underpromise and overdeliver, but he's definitely talking about contract fight. Yep, revelation. Michael is in for a dogfight with Jerry and Steven for his bag. But you know what? He deserved it. If there's anybody that deserves it, it's him. He runs his mouth too much. For him to say, if we are aggressive in free agency, I don't mind taking because you know what they say, if you're the highest paid, you don't have players around you, okay? You done messed up with these Joneses. They're going to hold you to what you said. They're going to fight you tooth and nail. Michael Parsons said, there's no difference between $40 million and $30 million. You keep that same energy. Aubrey gets $30 million over 5 years. That's a $6 million. Yeah, Willie T. They're going to pay Aubrey. I don't think he plays on that. Tony Pollard, 2019, 4th round. Unfortunately, true, we ain't got no 4th rounders no more. Playoff run for our boys. Man, hey, Danny, you really think they're going to make that run? I can't buy it. I can't buy it. I'll become more of a believer. And I can't even say I'm become more of a believer. But the Bucks, if they beat the Bucks, I'll tell you this. If they beat the Bucks, I'll start considering it. Yep, Robert said Commander should have lost today. They held on. You know what, though? That's kind of how, when you start getting down towards the end of the season, you find yourself having to hold on to some wins. You really do. Quinn says, and they don't trade Michael, would you think they would consider one more defensive end to take his spot and say, okay, you don't have to rush the pocket. We need you to focus on run stopping. The problem is with Michael is not going to allow them not, at least until he get the bag. Michael's not going to allow them to put him at linebacker. He want that bag, man. He want that bag. What's going on, Hurricane? He want that bag. Janie said, I think it's best if Michael should be looking for another team. I have never trusted the Joneses. Well, I can tell you this. He dug his own grave. He said there's no difference between 30 and 40 million. I've never heard nobody do that in a contract year. Calling Jerry his dog. Oh, my dog, Jerry Moore. I want to win one for him. What kind of crazy talk is that? I hear you talking like that. It seemed like to me you about to give me the hometown discount. You going to give me the hometown discount. Yeah, I got you, Dan. I already read you. Yeah, you confident them Cowboys going to make it. If Michael leaves you, the Cowboys defense will be struggling for the next 15 years. Unless they get draft picks for him. Because I don't really believe, we were talking, me and my sons were talking tonight. I don't classify Michael Parsons as a generational player. I don't classify him as that. I classify him as a great player, can be elite player. I don't classify him as a generational talent. I really don't. And so for me, I think he can be replaced. Because if you told me that they were going to trade Michael Parsons for 2 number 1s and a number 2, you can replace Michael Parsons. You can get 3 pieces for 1 guy. Surely 3 people can replace 1 guy. You can actually get 2 defensive ends and a linebacker. You could fulfill 3 needs with 1 player. Michael, I would do it. Because he's not that type of player to me. He's not that generational player that you say, I won't make trades for him. Oh, I'd make trades for him in a minute. I would. And if you'll notice, this is even what they're reporting on the Athlon. They're asking the question, why are the Cowboys openly fielding Michael Parsons trade questions? Why would they be doing that? I know why they're doing it. even if they don't intend to do it, wouldn't you still want to know what you could get? I would. I would want to know what I could get for Micah Parsons. I would want to know. Some people say, I've heard people say it all the time, rich folk especially. Everybody got a price. Everything has a price. You said it's not the match, it's the draft tender they put on Turpin. Yeah, I got you. It's the draft tender they put on Turpin. I would still take it, whatever it is. I mean, because who are you going to go in the draft and get as good as Turpin? As a fourth wide receiver, gadget guy / kickoff returner, punt returner. He's in his prime right now. I bet you there's a team that's willing to give that up for him. They're gonna throw some stuff at Cavante Turpin, and I guarantee you I'll be shocked if the Cowboys re-sign him. The Cowboys got a real test coming up. Panthers they aren't that best right now. Yeah, they knocked them off, but the Bucks, Eagles, Commanders, big deal, very big deal. If Jerry and Stan let Turpin walk, it wouldn't be the first time they've done something. They're telling us they are not going to spread money all around. And Micah Parsons shouldn't have opened his mouth. They're going to hold him to what he said. We're cutting Trayvon Diggs at the end of the season. Can't cut him. We already talked about that, Danny. Can't cut him. Salary guaranteed. There's nothing you can do. You don't win. You can't win cutting him. You cut your own self cutting him. The best thing you can do is let him rehab and see what he looks like when he comes back. There's nothing you can do. Robert said they're finishing 9-8. I think the chips fall in their favor. They get the number 7. Boy, I'm going to tell you, Robert, I don't believe it. But I'm going to wait and see. All we can do is wait and see. But the first puzzle piece drops because I don't think the Carolina Panthers were a puzzle piece. The first puzzle piece drops next week. But I do think there's still a fly in your ointment. The fly in your ointment. The fly in your ointment is this team right here. This is the fly in the Cowboys playoffs. The Rams' schedule is too easy. Their schedule is too easy. The Rams are going to beat the Jets. The Rams are going to beat the Cardinals at home. And the Rams are going to beat the Seahawks at home. And watch this part. This is how I know the Cowboys aren't going. Because the Rams actually have built-in cushion on the Cowboys. Yeah, it's called built-in cushion. Because the Rams beat the 49ers. The Rams beat the Saints. The Rams have beaten teams. They beat the 49ers twice. And because the Rams have beat the 49ers, even if they were to lose 2 games and tie with the Dallas Cowboys at 9-8, guess who won the tiebreaker? The Rams automatically beat the Cowboys on tiebreaker 9-8. And think about it. The Rams only have one more game to win. The Rams are 8-6. The Rams are 8-6. So it's going to be between either the Rams or the Seahawks. The Rams, the Seahawks, and the Commanders. The Rams are already going to throw a fly in the ointment. I think the Commanders, they throw a fly in the ointment. Their schedule is too easy down the stretch. I just play this scenario out in your head. We keep talking about the Cowboys. Mess around. What if the Commanders beat the Eagles? What if the Commanders beat the Eagles? Commanders mess around and beat the Eagles. All they would have is one more game to win. which I think they're going to win the game after the Eagles. All they have to do is get to 10 wins. The Commanders are not worried about the Cowboys. The Commanders know this now. They don't have to even worry about the Dallas Cowboys. That's why I keep saying the Commanders, to me, pretty much have that spot wrapped up. They only have to win one more game. You telling me the Commanders, they're not good they can't beat the Falcons at home? The Commanders have 2 games in a row at home. What if they mess around and beat the Eagles? Once the Commanders get to 10, it's over for the Cowboys. It's over. There's no more discussion. I think the Commanders get 10 before they see the Cowboys. They have 2 games to do it. I think they get to 10 before they see the Cowboys. I don't see how they don't. I don't see how they don't. Okay, against the competition they have coming up. But when you look back at the playoff maker, it didn't come out the way I was thinking. At the 9th win. They already have achieved the 9th win. So when you go to week 16, I think the Eagles win the game. I do. I think the Eagles win the game. And when you start looking at the NFC, and I'm just going to flip through that one more time real quick. Not saying it can't happen. I don't see the Cowboys beating the Bucs, but let's say they beat the Bucs at home. Cowboys beat the Bucs at home. Let's let all those things I punched in figure in. May have to reload it. But I'm telling us, when you look at that, the problem is the Commanders have already got the 9th win. Week 17 will be a problem. Game. You know how these division games go, y'all. You never know who wins them. You go into these divisional games and you're thinking, yeah, this is an easy win. The Eagles are going to beat the Commanders. You know, they're on this long, the Eagles are better than the Commanders, which they are. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But you roll up in here and you start thinking they're going to knock that team off. Because I want you to think about this. Here's another issue. Philadelphia Eagles have won 10 games. Man, when you start thinking about holding on to those 10 games and how many of those have they won in a row? How many? I mean, when you start thinking about this stuff, I'm telling you, the Washington Commanders could easily sneak up on the Eagles and beat them. It is going to be in Washington. And I guarantee you, Dan Quinn has already put in his team's head, because that's what I would be telling them. One game at a time. We got number 9. Let's go out and let's get number 10. Let's upset the Eagles. They get number 10, nothing else matters. And my problem is, so many things have to happen for the Cowboys to do this. And that's the part where I don't understand. Why do we start saying and talking like this? It don't make sense. I mean, we're literally asking for a total collapse by 4 teams, as if we, again, this is the other crazy part. Again, with Cooper Rush, we're going to do this. Not going to happen. These better teams, they're not the Carolina Panthers. They're not the New York Giants. They're going to be more like the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals, elite offense. We're not giving the Philadelphia Eagles credit. Philadelphia Eagles have an elite offense now. They do. They're loaded. They have an elite offense. It's hard to stop Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, tush push, running, throwing the ball. It is hard to beat the Eagles as Pittsburgh. It's hard to beat the Eagles, man. It is. Because the way they beat the Eagles, the way they beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, they made it look easy. Philly made it look easy beating Pittsburgh. And it ain't easy making it easy beating Pittsburgh. We beat Pittsburgh on a last-minute throw. They beat the brakes off Pittsburgh. They beat the brakes. And I think Zimmer will have a plan. I just don't think we got enough to beat them. I don't think we got enough to beat them. Yeah, Robert, Freddie has already talked about those scenarios and different ones like that. I just don't think it's happening this year. Because we're literally saying the Commanders won't win another game because they literally can't win another game. They can't win another game. They can't. And even when you think about the Seattle Seahawks, because they're going to have some problems, though. I'm waiting to hear what they say about Geno Smith because I don't think Sam Howell will be able to win a game for him, at least the way he looked tonight. Now, maybe if he can get prepared, he can win a game. But now I'm going to show you again, Robert. I love you, brother, but I'm going to have to show you again why what you're saying is not going to happen. And this is even with Sam Howell. I'm going to show you again why this is not going to happen. The Cowboys lost some absolutely miserable games they shouldn't have lost. And here's going to be the problem again. The Seattle Seahawks, when you look at their schedule, the Seattle Seahawks, they beat the Falcons. The Seattle Seahawks have beat the 49ers one time. The Seattle Seahawks, let me see if there's another one of these teams. So the Seattle Seahawks, they've actually beat the Falcons. They beat the 49ers. And I'm pretty sure when you do the mathematics on that, the Seattle Seahawks will actually own the tiebreaker over us too. The Seahawks will own the tiebreaker. And there's a monkey wrench. I just don't think the Bears can beat hardly anybody, even if the Seahawks have Sam Howell. Sam Howell will not beat the Vikings, but he can easily beat the Bears. We're literally talking about the total collapse of the Seahawks not winning another game. The Commanders not winning another game. Or some kind of way the Rams don't win another game. It's just not possible. It's just not possible. I can't even buy it. No form of fashion. I cannot buy anybody believing the Dallas Cowboys are going to the playoffs. Not saying it can't happen, but the percentage is less than 1%. Purple Soul said, I've been a Jalen Hurts fan. I've watched every game since he was a freshman at Bama. I always believed in him. I said when he came to the pros, he was going to be dominant. Cowgirls dominate the 3-10 Panthers, Super Bowl bound. Well, I don't know, John. I was saying this today on X. I love the Dallas Cowboys, but I have a problem with every time we win, we're like playoff bound. Man, can we just one game at a time for this team? One game at a time for this team. Yeah, Robert, you're right, though. They do have a shot. You're right. They do have a shot. There's no doubt about that. There's doubt about that, but they have a shot. Yeah, you do. You're right. Mathematically, Robert, they have a shot. I appreciate the fact though that you like it. You love the Cowboys that much. I love them too. I just can't see it, but I love the fact that you can see it. So, hey, more power to you. But you're right. They do have a shot. Willie T says Turpin is a returner. No team has given up a separate second round pick for that. G, you overhyping our players. No, I think Turpin, man. I'm telling you, man. There are some teams out there, I'm telling you, they're looking at Turpin saying Dallas is not using him right. Imagine Kevontae Turpin with Patrick Mahomes. Imagine Kevontae Turpin with Joe Burrow. Imagine him even with the Green Bay Packers. And the reason why I'm picking them, imagine Kevontae Turpin with Kyle Shanahan. I'm mentioning these coaches in particular because they're play calling geniuses. Sean McVay. I mean, a play calling genius would have Kevontae Turpin way more productive. Mike don't seem to know how to use everything he has. But Kevontae Turpin, Willie, I think Kevontae Turpin has earned he's earned a contract. Because like I said, when you look at this thing on restricted free agent, I mean, unless they're explaining this wrong. But when you look at, because if you look at the difference, it says, this is March 5th, 2024. It says, what is an NFL restricted free agent? How do they affect free agency? And it says the same thing again. They've accrued 3 NFL seasons. Okay, yeah, okay. I misread this. You're right. It says, hold on a second. Restricted free agents, and I'm sorry, the AI didn't have this written like this. This is what it didn't say on the AI, at least unless I misread it. It says, unlike unrestricted free agents, restricted free markets limited due to 4 different tenders. Okay, so a team that places a tender on a restricted free agent can match an offer sheet from another club. If a draft pick value is attached to the tender, the original team can receive compensation if it lets the player walk. Okay, so I remember this because this has been done before. Because what some teams will do, they'll say, for example, okay, so we're going to put a second round tender, like you're saying, on Kevontae Turpin. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. We'll put a second round tender on Kevontae Turpin and let him walk. And if they're willing to give the tender, then they can have Kevontae Turpin. Which I'm thinking, surely they're not going to put a second round. Surely they're not going to put a second round on Kevontae Turpin. Surely they're not going to do that. Unless they're just absolutely devious. But even then, they're going to have to pay him. I think they're going to have to figure out a way to pay him depending upon, because if you put a second round tender on him, then that would also mean that there's a certain amount of money also that a second round tender is going to command. I would think that would be correct too, right? A team places a tender on him. A draft pick value is attached to the tender. So if you're going to put a tender on him, that means there's got to be value. So I'm imagining you can't say, hey, we're willing to only pay him $100,000, but we'll take a second round tender. At least that's what I'm thinking. It says like a franchise tag, a restricted tender protects a team from losing internal talent. Teams can place first round, second round, and right of first refusal tenders on players. Each tender is a 1-year contract with a value based on the level of the tender. That's what I was thinking. So the Cowboys still can't just do Kevontae Turpin in and try to say, hey, we're going to make sure no team gets you, for example, and say, we're going to put a first round tender on you. Well, if you put a first round tender on him, then you got to pay him first round. You got to pay him in that level. You got to put that level of value on it. It says, for example, a first round tender will yield a first round pick from another team if an offer sheet wasn't matched. A second-round pick would go to a departing team if a restricted free agent didn't have an offer sheet matched on a second-round tender. If a player is tendered at the original round, first round of refusal, and signs an offer sheet that is incumbent, teams decline to match. The club that would be entitled to a draft choice equal to the round in which the player was selected. The team wouldn't receive compensation if the player wasn't drafted or was tendered at the lower four levels. So that makes me also wonder then, Willie, I got to do some more looking into this, because we got to look at how he was drafted and the way he was drafted. Cavante Turpin came from what? XFL? He was the XFL Player of the Year. So what would his tender, what would it equal to? What would Cavante Turpin's tender equal to? That's another issue. This is going to be very interesting how the Cowboys, how they wind up doing this, because Cavante Turpin, they're going to have to pay the man. They have got to pay the man. I mean, I don't see any other way around it. They're going to have to pay him to keep him. And I don't think they're going to be able to pay him. I don't think they're going to be able to pay him chump change. I was trying to see what it's maybe saying about his contract. Because one of the things he's trying to do, because that's what it's talking about on another article I'm reading, that he's been trying to build his value going into a contract year. I just think, I don't know if the Cowboys are going to deal with the headache of the Cavante Turpin issue. I don't know if they'll deal with the headache. And I just wonder, would him coming from the way he came in, because King, you put a first round tender on him. I mean, you didn't draft him in the first round. I mean, do you get to be the one that put the value on him? This is all just stuff that I haven't really delved this deep into a situation like this, but I'm just wondering. I don't think you can just roll up in there and say, hey, we want to keep Cavante Turpin, so we're going to put a first round pick on it. I don't know if they can. I don't know if they're going to do that. So it's going to be very interesting how this turns out. I just don't think they're going to keep Turpin, though. Wow. Yeah, wow, that's crazy. Wow. Danny just hit me with the news on Geno. Done for the season. Wow. Wow. I still think that they can beat. I still think Sam Howell can beat the Bears. I don't think he can beat them other teams, but I think he can beat the Bears. I think he can beat them. But, Robert, if Sam Howell can't win a game, then the Seahawks, there's a fly in the ointment. There would be the help that the Cowboys desperately need. That is crazy. Man, that's crazy. Man, that's crazy. Man, I feel sorry for Geno. Geno has been playing really, really well for the last couple of years. And the sad part is, Geno, where he is in his contract and where he is in his career, it may be over for Geno in Seattle. It may absolutely be over for Geno in Seattle. Wow. That is crazy. Commanders had 3-game losing streak earlier. It can happen. Hey, Robert, you right. It can happen. The Seattle thing is going to be a blow. Can Sam Howell beat can he beat the Bears? Can he beat the Bears? Because the other two, I think they're going to have a problem with. I don't think they can beat the Vikings. I don't think they would have beat the Vikings with Geno. But without Geno, I don't think they have a chance of beating the Bears. I say that, and then any given Sunday, Sam Howell will come out there and throw a party and beat them. But I don't think he can beat them. But I do think the Seattle Seahawks, even with Sam Howell, I think they can beat the Bears. And if they beat the Bears, it's over with. The Cowboys' problem is they're going to lose. Even if they win out, they're going to lose on tiebreakers. They're going to lose. They're going to lose out on tiebreakers. But I'm actually laughing, Robert. You actually think that the Cowboys are going to beat the Eagles, man? I don't see them beating them Eagles, man. I don't see them beating them Eagles. Falcons will win against the Commanders. Okay. Y'all getting me hyped up for next week now. Tony Simmons, Saquon is the reason why Jalen Hurts is successful. Coordinators are scheming to stop Saquon, not Jalen. Tony, you watched the game today? You watched the game today? Saquon took a nasty hit. I think it was the first, second quarter? Boy, he took a nasty hit. Jalen was balling without Saquon. Jalen was balling without Saquon. Balled out without Saquon Barkley. He balled out without Saquon Barkley, bro. He did. Daniel M. I like the linebacker from Penn State. Me too. I think his name is Abdul Carter, right? Yeah, don't know his name. Yeah, I'm with you, Daniel M. The Cowboys better hit in this draft, and they better hit hard. Cowboys will beat the Bucks because what you talking about? You think they go, Danny? You think the Cowboys gonna beat the Bucks? Man, I'm telling you, boy, y'all got me hyped up for these games now. Y'all got me hyped up for these games because I don't think they're gonna beat the Bucks. Willie T, saying we beat the Bucks is not even fun. Just Willie T said saying we beat the Bucks is not even fun. Just drunk, crazy. Man, Willie, I don't think we beat the Bucks either, man. Man, I don't think we beat the Bucks. Let's look at who the Bucks. I forgot who the Bucks played today. The Bucks. Let's pull up their game. Hey, man. I don't think we're better than the Chargers right now. I do not think we're better than the Chargers right now. You want to know how good the Bucks are playing? The Bucks beat the Chargers. And that's saying something. The Bucks beat the Chargers at home. Put a 40 burger on them. Woo! Wow. Put a 40 on them boys. Went 17 points in the third quarter. What in the world? Bucks went nuts on them boys, man. 17 points in the third quarter. 10 points went crazy on them. Baker Mayfield, 22 of 27, 288. They got a running game. Bucky Irvin, 15 for 117. Rashid White, 15 for 64. Sean Tucker, 7 for 17. Mike Evans. Whoo, man. Man, this going to be a different type of game for us right here. I'm not even tripping on their offense, though. The Bucs defense is no joke. We've been playing well. I'm just going to say it. Zimmer has earned a job in this league again. Somebody is going to get Mike Zimmer to be their defensive coordinator. Somebody's going to get him to be the defensive coordinator. This man has got a job again in this league. I think Jerry is going to give Al, because I don't think Jerry wants to let Al Harris go. I think Jerry is going to make Al Harris the defensive coordinator for the team. Mike Zimmer is probably going to find himself somewhere else. The Bucs did a number on these boys, man. Justin Herbert is better than Cooper Rush. They did a number on him, though. He was 21 of 33, 2 touchdowns, interception. Watch this. This is the problem I see for the Cowboys. They held Gus Edwards to 8 for 23. This is what they're going to try to do to the Cowboys. Not sure they're going to succeed, but this is what they're going to try to do to the Cowboys. They're going to try to stop the run. They're going to say, we'll take our chances on Cooper Rush beating us. That's exactly what they're going to say. Sunday night, too. It's on a Sunday night. It's going to be a great game. Boy, y'all got me hyped up in here because y'all got some faith in the Cowboys, man. Man, y'all got some faith in the Cowboys. Cowboys will beat them Eagles because revenge time. Hey, you know what? Divisional game. But let us stop discounting. Let us stop discounting that we're the only team that want to win. The Commanders are playing the Eagles. It's a division game. These division games are different. Eagles are better than the Commanders. Don't mean they can't get beat. Me and Willie T aren't delusional like Robert and Danny are with them saying we're going to beat Baker. Man, I can't see us beating them Bucks, man. Keedy says the Cowboys will finish 6-11 or 7-10. Yeah, I'm seeing that too, because I do think the game that they may wind up winning by default will be the Commanders game. Because once the Commanders hit that 10-win mark, there's nothing the Cowboys can do. There's nothing that anyone can do once the Commanders hit that 10-win mark. They lock down. They lock down the 7th seed with 10 wins. There's nothing nobody can do. Everybody can just fold up the tents and go home after that. The Cowboys can't get 10 wins. The Seahawks will still have an opportunity at 10 wins, which I will find hard to believe with Geno gone for the season. The Rams will have the opportunity to hit 10 wins. I believe the Rams hit 10 wins. They'll keep that number 3 seed. I think the Seattle Seahawks, unfortunately, will be the odd man out. And Dan Quinn, in his first year as the coach of the Washington Commanders, I believe Dan Quinn is going to the playoffs. But hey, Robert, I'm not going to, mathematically, Robert, you are right. They got a shot. They got a shot. Even if it's 1,000,000-1, they got a shot. And anything can happen. I mean, who would have thought Geno went down today? Anything can happen. But the big games for sure are next week. None of it matters. None of it matters if the Commanders win. None of it matters. None of it matters if they win. The moment the Commanders hit that magic number 10, none of it matters. But if they don't hit that magic number 10, we'll be probably watching one of the most hard-fought games we've seen this season for the Dallas Cowboys against the Washington Commanders, that last game. But even then, Seattle will have to lose out too. Janie, that's me too, not with Cooper Rush playing, because the moment you put the ball where he has to win it, it's over with. Cowboys are about to do the unthinkable. Wild Boy Trey said they about to do the unthinkable. Robert said Carolina should have beaten Philly. It looks like that Carolina might should have beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Danny said, Robert, me and you know what we were talking about. Okay, we're going to see next week. Mathematically, they still in it. Yep. They're still in it. Cooper Rush had his best game today because he threw 3 TDs. And because Rico Dowdle ran the ball 25 times, they ran the ball 36 times. And when you run for 200 yards rushing, you're going to beat a lot of teams. Yeah. And that defense also got 4 turnovers. The problem is they can't play like that every week. Just like I said against the Bengals, there's a time when you got to line up against a team, mano a mano, and you just got to beat them. And the Bucs is that team. The Bucs is the team. Yeah, I'm with you, Tony. Not with Cooper Rush. Dallas is going to the wow, Paul. Man, you really tripping in there. Gee, why can't I pick the Bucs to win against the Cowboys? So the guys like Robert and Danny will stop the back run that could happen when it won't happen. I'm picking the Bucs. I think the Bucs are gonna win. I do. I really do think the Bucs are gonna win. I just think the Bucs are better than us. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But boy, if the Cowboys beat the Bucs, the media will eat it up. The Cowboys beat the Bucs, and the NFL ratings will skyrocket because the Cowboys will be must-watch TV. The NFC playoff race will be must-watch TV again because every week now it will be, because not only do they have to beat the Bucs, They have to beat the Eagles. They have to beat the Commanders. And it will be crazy if the Eagles win on a 2-game slide, or if the Eagles get to the Cowboys and that's the one hiccup. That'll be crazy if it happens. Only player Dan Quinn won't sign is Izzy. For real. For real. He's the only one he won't sign. How about them Cowboys? We still have a shot? Yeah, you do. Yeah, we do. Jerry Jones seems prejudiced to me. Well, you know what? I can tell you this. I don't think he's going to let Al Harris go. Jerry likes Al Harris. Jerry is going to, if there's a, if he goes through the motion of interviewing head coaches, Al's going to get a serious interview. I don't think he's going to get an interview as in being the head coach. But Al Harris is going to probably be the next DC because if I'm not mistaken, isn't Al? I thought Al was the assistant coach. I thought he was the assistant head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, it says he's the assistant head coach. I'm not really sure what that means, but I think he's the assistant head coach already. So I got a feeling Al Harris is going to be defensive coordinator for the Cowboys. Yeah, I think he's going to be the defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. And Al Harris is going to get a shot at being a head coach in this league. There's a lot of people that like Al Harris. And I was thinking about this with the Cowboys, though, as I was kind of looking at the Seahawks, and the Green Bay Packers tonight. I was kind of thinking that maybe the Cowboys need a younger coach. You know, some of these Super Bowl teams are winning with these younger coaches, you know, except, of course, when we look at Andy Reid. But, you know, I'm starting to look at Andy Reid like the Godfather coaches. You know, man, Andy Reid, man, he just next level. But some of these teams are going with younger coaches. You know, maybe Dallas ought to give that a try. Go with Al Harris. Go with Al Harris. Go with Ben Johnson. But, you know, Ben's already set the stipulation, so we know that's not going to happen. Diggs and his brother has the worst luck with injuries. Prayers up. Yes, they're having a crazy year. And, Trayvon, I just think Trayvon came back too quick, Robert. I think he needs to sit down somewhere. I don't think he needs to come back even next year, especially not try to hear him come back at the beginning of the year. Now he's got a cartilage issue? That's serious business. Jerry Jones' cousin did the surgery too. Too many family members that work for the Cowboys. Man, are you serious? God, man, I hope that's not true. Wow. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be the same, man. You're talking about a cartilage injury now. Daniel says, so if my math is correct, Diggs won't be back until August, and that's the preseason. When will he hit the PUP list? They're saying that he'll hit the PUP list probably about the first game of the season. Or maybe sooner. I hope not. I just don't think he needs to come back to midseason. I think he needs to, because they're saying Demarion Overshown will not be back in 2026. I have a feeling Overshown will be back in 2025. If the Cowboys if they get close to the playoffs, I wouldn't be surprised if they have both of those players. But I'll tell you this, I wouldn't break the glass on them unless it was absolutely necessary. I'm sorry, you've invested money in Diggs. You've invested money now in, you got future money you want to invest in Overshown. You don't want to let Overshown go. You want to make sure that Overshown, you want to make sure before you do anything with Overshown, he done. Because I don't think he's done. I think what they need to do with Overshown is they need to change his position. I would move him to safety. I would literally move him to safety and let him be the next Darren Woodson. I would get him away from the line because what happened to him was a freak injury. I mean, he got rolled up on. That's crazy work right there. Yeah, I don't see us winning against Tampa Bay. Willie says Diggs out until the beginning of next season. I wouldn't let him come back then. That's too soon for me. I would just have to seriously. He's such a huge investment now. I mean, his contract is now guaranteed. I got to see. Woo! trade up for Travis Hunter. They have to give up the whole draft. Because I can tell you now, all those teams with 3 wins, they are salivating over Travis Hunter. All the 3-win teams are salivating over Travis Hunter. Shedeur Sanders will be number 1, I believe. Cam Ward will be number 2. And I think that Travis Hunter will be number 3. And matter of fact, that's exactly how Tankatron has it too. Tankatron has for their 2025 NFL mock draft, number 1, Shedeur Sanders, which I think that's going to be the Raiders. I don't think it's going to be, let's see, they're projecting. Okay, so the Giants. Oh, okay. The Giants right now are number 1. They won't be number 1 once the Las Vegas Raiders lose again. The Las Vegas Raiders actually got the tiebreaker of the Giants. The Las Vegas Raiders are actually the number 1 pick. But I know why they're doing it, because obviously the Giants are further along in their schedule. So the Las Vegas Raiders are 2-11, but the mock draft is exactly what I said. Shedeur is going to go to the Raiders, though. Cam Ward will go to the Giants. Travis Hunter will go to whoever that number 3 team is. Right now, they're projecting it to be the New England Patriots, but I think they're obviously looking at some things happening, but it can actually be any one of these teams at the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 3, 4, 5, and 6. Any one of these teams may wind up getting Travis Hunter. It's crazy. They got the Jets getting Abdul Carter. Wow. Is this not going to be crazy in the draft? If Ashton Genty gets all the way to number 13 and he get picked up right before the Cowboys get him. I'm not believing, but from what I'm understanding, they said this thing right here has been pretty accurate over the years. I'm having a hard time believing that the Cowboys are going to get Luther Burden III. I don't see why they would. There are other wide receivers with more productivity in the draft. Why would they get, of all the wide receivers, you're going to make, y'all got to tell me something. I'm missing something. Why would the Cowboys make Luther Burden III the first wide receiver picked in the draft? Why would he be the first wide receiver? I don't even understand that part. Why would he be the first wide receiver? I mean, y'all tell me, am I missing something? Why in the world would the Cowboys, with McMillan on the board, you're telling me they would go and get Luther Burden III? Why would they do that? I see everything they're saying about him, but his stats aren't showing all these things. I'm taking these bigger wide receivers all day long. I would get McMillan. I would get either him. I'd get Trey Harris. Why would they spend the first round on Luther Burden III? I don't follow college as close as some of you guys do, so y'all tell me what you think. I just don't see it. Why him? But that's what they're predicting. Willie T says Israel should get his chance to play cornerback. Jerry Jones is a narcissist, says Robert. The Cowboys are planning to make a team again or make another team so they can win. Yeah, I think they're gearing up for next year. I think Izzy is the 4th best cornerback on the team. Okay. Willie T says I can actually agree with that. Danny says our Cowboys 3 weeks from now will play the Cowboys. Boy, Danny, boy, I'm telling you, you gonna be making fun of me if you gonna really be making fun of me if we make the playoffs. Robert said it's possible. Yeah, I mean mathematically it's true. I don't believe it, but it's true. Boy, let me tell you, hey, I don't gamble, but anybody who betting on the Cowboys to go to the playoffs and they go, boy, they gonna be rich. Michael cost himself a lot of money saying there's no difference between 30 and 40 million when they offer him 25. I'd offer him 25 based on principle. You said it, I didn't. I would make sure he 10 million short or whatever the highest paid player is. I would. Yeah, you said you cannot let Michael walk. Well, I could tell you this. They put themselves in a predicament, or he's put himself in a predicament. Kitty Boy says, check out what Dez said about how the Cowboys forced him back onto the field. Yes, I know already. Forced him back on the field too early when he was injured. That will explain why Zeke and Michael Gallup fell off. Yep. Zeke came back too early. Michael Gallup came back too early. I wouldn't do it. I don't know if they're hypnotizing them or what. They wouldn't make me do it. People thinking we making the playoffs must be big fans of the Joneses. Man, woo. Who's better, Ken Norton Jr. or Michael Parsons? At linebacker, I would take Michael Parsons. Ken Norton was a beast, though. I think Michael could be more in line with a Ken Norton Jr. Lawrence Taylor talk is crazy. Lawrence Taylor talk is crazy. But I think Michael could be one of the best linebackers to ever do it if he would go back to that position. Daniel says, just when we talk about Michael, we talked about how good that he is, but yet he believes that he is better than Garrett and Watt. Ultimately, I think he is, but his mouth is the problem. I think his mouth is getting in the way of his work ethic. And I think things people are saying is getting in the way of his work ethic. And where he could make his mark as being one of the most elite, I just think he's short-changing himself. And I really wish Jerry would bring a veteran in to be beside him, and somebody who he really looks up to that could really show him the ropes and really help him to mature into what I believe all of us believe that he can be. Willie T says Michael's not a generational player. Yeah, I don't think he is either. If he was, then he would be wrecking games. Generational players put the team on their back. Michael doesn't. And even today, I said it before, Michael against weaker talent is elite. Michael going up against average to good talent, it's a different story. He's so small, he doesn't hold up well against those big guys. Gee, if the Cowboys beat the Bucs, the percentage chance is still at 1%. 1% is no percent to me. But I also think the problem in that is going to be, I don't know how you do it, because even once the Bucs hit that magic number of 9, let's see here. See, the Cowboys, where they messed up and where a lot of people don't understand where they messed up, the Cowboys messed up by losing to the New Orleans Saints, losing to the San Francisco 49ers. Those losses is what's going to make them miss some of these tiebreakers. Now, it looks like the 49ers also beat the Bucs. They beat the Cowboys. Cowboys beat the Giants twice, but the Bucs beat the Giants. Okay, I was wrong on that. I thought I read it wrong. The Falcons beat the Bucs, and they beat us. But again, here's another problem for the Cowboys. These tiebreakers. The Bucs and the Saints. The Bucs beat the Saints. Therein lies the problem. The Bucs beat the Saints. When you start coming down to the tiebreakers, this is where the Cowboys have all the problems. The reason why they have those 1% in there, that's with if all of these teams collapse. We're basically asking the Bucs, the Commanders, and the Seahawks and the Rams to collapse in some form or fashion so we can get in. And so the Bucs, once the Bucs hit that magic number of 9, and they can hit that magic number of 9 against us, we're done. We're done. If they hit that magic number. And the Bucs still kind of have an advantage too, because if you look at the Bucs, so the Bucs are 8-6. So if the Bucs lose to us, they would be 8-7. But the even more insane part is the Bucs could lose to us, win 2 more games, and still go to the playoffs because they will have 10 wins. But whatever happens, the Cowboys, literally, to get in, they can't tie with anybody other than, I think, the Commanders. They can't tie with anybody. And if it winds up a tie with the Seahawks, all these tiebreakers are what's going to destroy the Cowboys. The fact that they lost to the Saints, they lost to the 49ers, all of that's going to matter. Those losses, the losses to those divisional, those opponents. What is that? NFC South. The NFC South losses to the Saints, or the NFC loss to the Saints and the Falcons, those two are detrimental. And the NFC West loss to the 49ers, detrimental. That's what makes the Seahawks, the Rams, win tiebreakers over us, including the 49ers. If they were to happen to some kind of way magically get to 9 wins, 49ers would beat us in a tiebreaker. That's why they have all of this stuff at 1%. The likelihood of any of this happening is crazy. Not saying it can't happen. Not saying it can't happen. Yeah, that's why it's still at 1%, because all those teams can still collapse, but 1% is no percent. Daddy said the magical run is about to happen. Boy, I'm telling you, y'all got me hyped for these games next week. This Tampa Bay game is going to be big. Wild Boy said we going to the playoffs. Cooper Rush will be, boy, man, let me tell you something. If the Cowboys go to the playoffs with Cooper Rush, Dak Prescott better officially go to Jerry Jones and request a trade. Yeah, it's Daniel. There's so many things that has to happen. It's so many things have to happen. Quentin said culture problems will continue if they don't make one change. And what might that be in office? The problem is, I think the culture doesn't change if Jerry keeps Mike McCarthy. I think there's a chance of the culture changing if Jerry hires Bill Belichick, which he still can. I talked about it last night before. Bill Belichick put it in his contract that he could literally get out of it, and there would only be a $1 million buyout. Jerry can still bring in Bill. I think that there are some stipulations, though, that Bill wants that Jerry is not willing to pay. And I think that's the problem. I think he could also change the culture, Quentin, bringing in Mike Vrabel. I think Mike Vrabel would be a change. And I think the Cowboys should consider that. But all the lines are pointing towards the Cowboys actually bringing back Mike McCarthy. I've basically been saying that all season long, and I think that's exactly what it's going to be. But I shouldn't say exactly. I do think Jerry is reserving the right. I think he's reserving the right to replace Mike McCarthy, and that's why he hasn't committed yet. I think that's why he hasn't committed. And I don't think Jerry at this point in time has fully sold himself on, even though the players are saying it, I don't think he sold himself on the fact that he's fully committed to bringing back Mike, and that's why he hasn't done anything yet. Rams will get the 4 seed, so that won't interfere with the Cowboys' playoff chances. Yeah, but I think that the Bucs and the Seahawks are going to mess with the Cowboys' playoff chances because the Cowboys have all of these weird tiebreakers, and they can't get more than 9 wins. A loss to the Bucs and it's over. A win by the Seahawks and 2 losses and it's over. If I'm not mistaken, the Cowboys, if they tie with the Seattle Seahawks even, they can't go. Yeah, they can't. I don't think they can go if they tie with the Seahawks because I think the Seahawks may have some tiebreakers over. I'll have to play around with this tonight. I'm going to come back tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow again, and I'm gonna look at this thing with them because I think this thing with the Cowboys making it is so tough. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. Janie said Jerry and Jones and Stephen Jones looks for players they can get cheap. They're always scraping the bottom of the barrel, Janie. Always scraping the bottom of the barrel. Willie T said Washington Falcons and 49ers would have to lose out also. Woo, not happening. I still say the Washington Commanders are going to end all this. The Commanders actually control their own destiny. None of these other teams control their own destiny like the Commanders. All the Commanders have to do is get that 10. The Commanders get that 10, the Cowboys are out. There's no more Cowboys talk. They won't eliminate the Bucs. They won't eliminate forgot the playoff picture. They will not eliminate the Bucs. Let's see. The Commanders are going to knock a lot of teams out of the runnings once they get that 10. Because I think those other teams, like the Seahawks, I think they may not get the 10. They may not get to the 10. So that's why for me, I think the wild card spot is the 10. I think it's the 10. I think if the Commanders can keep that 10, they're going to get in. Because right now, the Bucs are number 3 in the NFC South. The Rams are number 4. Packers. Okay, so Commanders are number 7. They get that 10, I think they pretty much lock it up. I think they lock it up because you have to have these other teams. They're the divisional win leaders. So when you look at the NFC South and you look down here at the playoff thing, I don't think there's anybody in the NFC South that's going to catch. I mean, I don't think the Saints and the Falcons are going to catch the Bucs. I don't think they're going to catch the Bucs. You look at the NFC West, the only issue is the Seahawks. The only issue is the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks will get 1 more win, but I think the Rams will get 2 more wins. I think the Rams are going to have a 10-win season. But if the Seahawks wind up with 9 wins, they knock the Cowboys out. So the Washington Commanders, they don't even need to be thinking about the Cowboys in that last game. All the Washington Commanders have to think of, 1 game. That's all we have to do. Can they get it against the Eagles? The Eagles are coming to town. This could be an easy upset. It's a divisional game. The Eagles could get beat by the Commanders. It's not out of the realm. It's as likely or more likely that the Commanders beat the Eagles than the Cowboys go to the playoffs. I don't know if we thought about that. I think there's a greater chance of the Commanders beating. There is as much of a chance as the Commanders beating the Eagles as the Cowboys winning out. So if we think the Cowboys can win out, that makes me believe then I got to believe that the Commanders can beat. They might can beat the Eagles next week. I know no one is thinking it, but what if they do? Cowboys done. Post Toasties right there. Cowboys are done. Those other teams could be still in the race, but the Cowboys would be done. They would be. So And I think that I think the Commanders will get the Falcons win. I do. I think they'll get that even if they don't get the Eagles win. I think they get the Falcons win. Falcons are in bad shape. I noticed a picture of the Falcons. I noticed a picture of the Falcons for their next game, and if I'm not mistaken, that was Michael Penix Jr.'s face that I saw on the next game. So I've been kind of busy today. Did they already make a change with Penix or something? Or did Kirk Cousins, did he get hurt? Let me see. I was trying to. I didn't know. I saw that and I was kind of like, okay, why is Michael Penix picture up? I have not seen any change. I was trying to see if there was some kind of change on the. I don't see any change on the depth chart. Have y'all heard that? That's what I was wondering when I saw that picture today. But I hadn't seen any change on that yet. So, but I think the Commanders are going to get that win against the Falcons for sure. I really do. Yeah, I think they're going to knock the Falcons off, and then all this stuff will be no more talk. The Rams are going to lose against Aaron. Man, ain't no way. I don't think there's no way them Rams, man, them Jets are just bad right now. So, yeah, Seahawks are cooked. But I do think Sam Howell's going to beat the Bears. Commanders will lose to Philly, Atlanta. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Commanders are going to beat Atlanta. And then that Dallas game won't matter. But I definitely don't think the I definitely don't. Yeah, the Seahawks are cooked. Seahawks are cooked. But you still didn't put in there. You still wait a minute. Hold on a second. Man, I'm telling you, boy, I know we holding out hope, but boy, we are talking about a wicked jigsaw puzzle, man. We are talking about a wicked jigsaw puzzle for the Cowboys to make it in. A wicked jigsaw puzzle. Because you have to realize something. I mean, the Cowboys just have so many problems with everything we're saying. Because even the Falcons mess around and get the 9 wins. Which that's going to probably be pretty hard to do for them. They're 6-7. Have we counted out the 49ers yet? 49ers are 6-8 just like the Cowboys. Have we counted the 49ers out yet? Even though I think the 49ers final schedule is going to be pretty hard too. Yeah, it's going to be pretty hard. Y'all got me hyped up though. I mean, let me not say y'all got me hyped up, but I am saying I just think we're anticipating too much. I just don't think the Cowboys are going to beat the Bucs. I don't think they're going to beat the Bucs. I think the Bucs are literally going to bring us back to earth again. I do. I think they're going to humiliate us. And the reason why I just think they're a better team. Commanders beat the Eagles, it's over. Oh, yes. Pretty much. I mean, the reality is, Willie, is the Commanders control their own destiny. They can do if they'll just win, they got it. True Cowboy, Turpin is going to give the Dallas Cowboys a hometown discount because of his loyalty to this team. You know what? I hope the Cowboys don't try to lowball this dude. I mean, he has literally earned a contract. What if the Commanders don't get the 10 when they see Dallas? Well, it's going to be a heck of a game, Robert. I can tell you that. If they lose 2 games in a row by the time they get to the Cowboys, it's going to be a heck of a game. It really is. It is going to be a heck of a game. Willie said, I got the Eagles beating the Commies. Hurts and Barkley are going to kill that Commies defense. Yeah, man. Eagles right now on a different level. I will say that. Yeah, the Rams will win their division. I think they're going to win. Yeah, I just don't think the Cowboys are going to make the playoffs. I just think too much has to happen. But, hey, Robert, you're right. Mathematically, there is a chance. I just think the math ain't mathing. Because, like I said, I believe the Eagles will beat the Commanders, but I think the Commanders will beat the Falcons. I do. I think the Commanders beat the Falcons, and it's over. Daddy said we making no playoffs. In 2024, we're going to see. Could you imagine a wild card in Philly with the Eagles? Yeah, I wouldn't want to imagine it, but yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. I just don't want to. I just don't want to at this point in time. I ain't about to get my hopes up. He said there's a chance he gonna win the MVP. What's going on, Lord? Yeah, yeah, boy, y'all really confident these Cowboys making this magical run. I can't get there yet. I have got to watch another true Cowboys in playoff. I gotta see another win. I gotta see another win. I gotta see the Buck win. And not only do I have to see the Buck win, I gotta see what the Buck win look like, because I'm not buying it unless they beat the Bucks. If they don't beat the Bucks, I ain't buying none of it. Yeah, I know, True. That's why I was laughing when you quoted Jim Mora. Yeah, I ain't believing none of it until they beat them. I ain't believing none of it until they beat them Bucks, man. But it's gonna be a great game next week. I'm looking forward. I'm really looking forward to the Cowboys playing the Bucks next week. I really am. Because it's not that I don't like when we beat. I mean, because you can't help who's on your schedule. But I don't like when we play the weaker teams, because we always feed on those weaker teams. And that's the stuff that really gets our hopes up. No, I like when we play the teams like the Bengals. Because if you can beat those teams, that is really your barometer. Because the Bengals showed us something. Cooper Rush is not what people are saying he is. And we are not the type of team that can make a mistake when Cooper Rush is the quarterback. That lets us know we're not where we need to be. And the only thing that's going to happen, I told y'all this early in the season, Jerry Jones mess around and go to the playoffs with this team, won't nobody be able to tell him nothing. Won't nobody be able to tell Jerry Jones nothing. Jerry Jones will be able to say, I told you so. Jerry Jones will be able to say, I was right, not ever playing in free agency. I was right in letting go of 9 veterans. I was right never doing any trades. I was right building my team through the draft year after year after year, no player development. He will be able to say he was right about all those things. I don't want Jerry, because I'm telling y'all, if Jerry succeeds at this Frankenstein experiment that he has going on, we are never going to be able to tell Jerry Jones nothing. And we'll be whining and crying about this team for the next 10 years. Because I think Jerry's, 82? Man, Jerry gonna be in his 90s still running this team. Still running this team in his 90s. All right. Appreciate y'all tuning in to the Late Show. Like doing the Late Show. I'm a night person anyway. But y'all got me hyped up, man. I am so looking forward to our team playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because y'all are telling me we are going to make a magical playoff run, and we are going to beat the Bucks, and we're going to beat the Eagles, and we're going to beat the Commanders. This is what y'all telling me. I'll tell you this. Somebody gonna be saying I told you so after the first loss the Cowboys have, or if the Cowboys win out. But I got a feeling we're gonna see the first loss before we see the Cowboys winning out. Willie says Jerry knows we're not making the playoffs. He's getting mad we're going to miss out on Genty. Man, it's crazy that they got the Cincinnati Bengals right ahead of us. Cowboys have only beaten 2 teams with winning records this year. So you're telling me we're going to beat 3 winning teams? Man, that's crazy, boy. That is crazy to even think, Gabe. So now we're going to be 3 down the stretch. Man, hey, Willie, you said something earlier. Man, they mess around and beat these last 3 teams. They might have to put Cooper Rush in the MVP race because that's what it's that's exactly what it's going to be. That's exactly what it's going to be. Yeah, I'm not buying it yet. All right, guys, I'll be back tomorrow. And I'll probably do the late show again tomorrow since it's Monday Night Football. I'll do my regular show around 5:30. Then I'll be back for the late show after the Monday Night Football. Again, I appreciate y'all tuning in. Y'all hit that like button on your way out. Like, share, subscribe if you already have it. Until the next time, let's talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. Peace.